What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone? This is the Two Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Pack. We are Fantasy Six Packs, golf, DFS, and gambling podcast. I am your host, who gave you Ben Martin at 11-1 to top 10. You're welcome. Last week, Keith Flemming. With me, as always, my man Allen, that's actively lazy 85 on Twitter, who gave you Chris Kirk at 28-1 to win the tournament. Let's go, Alan. What a good second week of the show.
I hate gambling.
Just because you blew an Indiana, Iowa
I ain't
bet.
worried about that's not even that, man. Chris Kirk was, oh my God, there's nothing worse than Sunday golf, man. Like I can only imagine what it's like for the players because as a gambler, I'm not even gambling, but like I'm stressed watching it. I could only imagine what it probably felt like to Kirk when he hit the water. Like, Jesus Christ.
It was a terrible decision. It was a terrible decision.
I mean, the one thing that we said, or we literally highlighted was you can do whatever you want technically. Just what you cannot ever do is hit the water. You just got to stay out the water. You got a chance anywhere but the water. And he picked the absolute worst time to hit the water. But, the whole time I was watching, I was thankful that it wasn't like what we would consider a field, because anybody else would have capitalized on that.
You're right. It was a great call, though, by you.
Yeah.
I had two. Remember what I said last week? That was my favorite part. I had two other 28-1, so I did not make Kirk an official play. Luckily, thanks to you, it was still a good week for me. But I was like, I don't want to have three guys at 28-1, and of course, the guy ends up not winning. I'm just happy for you because we've been doing this for a long time. I know we're in the Fantasy Six Pack. I was going to say, when he went in the water, I was like, if this mother fudger finishes second, Allen's going to kill somebody.
I was like, it's okay. February is never a good betting month for me in general. So I was just gonna take it on the chin and be like, I was close again. I'm still in that area. Remember, at one point, this was before we did this podcast, when we were doing other podcasts. It was like a 2-month stretch. I had second place, like 8 straight tournaments. Which, if I was an actual golfer, I'd be rich. But I'm just a sports gambler, and they don't pay out for second.
Unless you did the top 5.
Yeah, do the top 5.
Which again, it's hard to do. And I actually am somebody who normally doesn't pick a guy to win and then include them top 5, which I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I believe top 5 and top 10s are more worthwhile trying to get better odds on it. And usually the people that we're picking to win, especially this week, we'll get into that in a little bit, you're going to get really low odds even for a top 5 or top 10. Before we get into the Arnold Palmer Invitational, another elevated event, I want to remind everyone you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net/plans. You get access to the Discord, which includes advice from me and Alan on golf, access to award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today by using the promo code F6PMLB, and you get 15% off, which is really good. Real quickly, before we get into Arnold Palmer, did you check out any of the Live Tour on CW?
No, and I saw that they had they had worse ratings than baseball, which I mean I would expect. Not many people watch CW in general, man. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I haven't watched a Live golf tournament since they started. Like, I'm strictly PGA, and it's not like anything
political
personal.
stance.
Yeah. It's just that these upstarts, man, like it's hard for me as a gambler to give it much credibility despite the names that they have until I see otherwise. I need to see consistency. I need to see people actually paying attention, because if nobody cares, then they're really out there probably just doing whatever they want to do.
And that honestly was my biggest takeaway from the little that I watched is it's like zombie golf. You know what I mean? Like there was a decent crowd actually there. I don't want to undersell that, but nobody's watching. And a lot of the guys just honestly don't look like they give a damn. And why would they? If you get guaranteed money, that's part of my issue with the Live Tour as a whole, is that's what's great, in my opinion, about PGA Tour and golf is you can make as much money as you want in a year. It's just how you perform. There's no other sport other than maybe like tennis and racing and other things like that, but none of the major sports, basketball, football, baseball, where you can just keep making more and more money the better you do. So it just, to me, it's weird. But again, I'm going to give it a chance. I download the CW app, watched about 30 minutes of it Sunday as the golf coverage got ready to go. But again, it's really weird. Again, just want to go over the Honda. Great call by Allen, 28-1. Chris Kirk, the Ben Martin top 10 was 11-1. That's 2 weeks in a row we've given a prop of at least 8-1 to hit. I like to see that. And then also throw in there Keith Hickok, who we both laughed at his name last week. Got him plus 450 to top 20. So we're moving on to Bay Hill. Again, another elevated event. For those that don't know, that means that everyone has to be there, and it's a $20 million purse. Alan, if you include Bay Hill this week, the players' purses for the last 4 weeks, $90 million.
Hello. Where's the money coming from? I'm joking.
Well, I'm joking.
Say,
you want to get into some stuff. Phil will get into that with you. But it's a special event. I think it's even more special now that Arnold Palmer has passed than it was before. As cool as it was to see Arnold there, I almost think they give even more reverence to him. And I think it's truly hard for younger people to understand how huge he was for the game of golf, because Jack Nicklaus was never this super popular player. In a lot of ways, Jack was not really liked for a majority of his career. I know a lot of people see the 86 Masters and the crowd going nuts. It was kind of like Tiger winning his, major a few years ago at Augusta. By that point, everybody loved to see Jack back at the leaderboard. It had not been a common thing, but Arnold was really the Tiger of his day. He brought crowds and people and really grew the game of golf immensely. I know this tournament means a lot to a lot of the players there. So the course preview, long course, Alan, over 7,400 yards, arguably the thickest rough on tour for a non-US Open. It's definitely up there. So that is already a tough combination when you have to hit it a long way and you have to hit it straight. The players will have more shots from 200 plus yards into greens than 90% of the events on tour. So that is obviously something that you need to pay attention to. Very firm and fast Bermuda greens. Not good again for the players, because even if you're one of the longer knockers and you have a short iron into it in this rough, it's really hard to get it to spin in firm and fast greens. You're going to see a lot of players miss greens this week. Scrambling is obviously important. Some of the course comps real quick. Quail Hollow is probably, I think, the closest comp on tour. But PGA National, where they just played, is a great comp. So you can go back and look at players who have played there. And then again, I always bring up Muirfield Village anytime there's a difficult golf course, because it's another one of those courses on tour. This is another event, though, that's almost like a major. Scoring will be high, particularly if the wind blows. The median score over the last 10 years balloons to around 5 over par if we get significant winds. I know you had said that we got significant winds Friday, right?
Yeah, I checked the weather forecast because it's a humble brag, but I remember winning with Hatton, and I think there was somebody else I had won at one time too. But the win was such a wow factor. Last year, actually, I missed barely winning again, picking Hatton the second time because the win was such a wow factor. But you're looking at one of those situations where if you're doing DFS, or if you're prop betting like round leaders and things like that, you want to pay attention to tee times. Friday or Thursday is kind of mid. Everybody's kind of playing in the same lane. Friday from 10 to 4, you're talking about gusts up to 30, 35 miles an hour with consistency in the low 20s. That's going to be an issue. You're also getting that same variance on Saturday. So if you're fortunate enough to make the cut on Friday, guess what? You got to do it again Saturday. And then
I would love to get the morning, barely make the cut, and then morning again Saturday in that situation. Course a little wetter in the morning, and you could maybe potentially put together 2 good rounds and get back into it if you don't play well for some reason Thursday.
Yeah, and much like PGA National the week before, water's in play on a lot of holes here
Yes,
too.
it is.
And you got water, and then you got ridiculous rough. But ironically, what I wanted to say, and I'm glad you mentioned the importance of hitting fairways. The winners over the last couple of years haven't really been that consistent on hitting fairways, and I think that's because the weather is such a variable.
Yep.
Like when you're looking into I would say capping this event, honestly, I wouldn't focus as much on like certain statistics. Like last week, I was like, oh, scrambling, greens in regulation, and things like that. This week, like you just need golfers that are dogs. Like that's really what you got to look to. This would probably be an event that if you didn't know the current like mind frame of golf and the current people that are playing, you're probably at a disadvantage because you're going to want to pick guys that even if their statistics are not looking good coming into this tournament, you've seen them bear down and play aggressive or maintain their composure. Cantley's a prime example of a guy that, I mean, over the last couple years, when the going gets tough, he finds a way. So if he's in the thick of things, you could get him at a good price this week. I'm not picking him. I'm just saying you want to know these types of golfers that you're picking this week, that they've got that X factor in their mental game in order to take on the elements and the course, because that's going to come into play. And I've been a part of betting on tournaments where we've seen wind gusts where the ball literally looks like Bubba Watson hit it.
It oscillates. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
This is definitely a grinder's course.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that you notice that make the cut on the number a lot, I think that's important. Tiger used to do that in his heyday. I mean, it wasn't often because he normally was finishing in the top 10, but there's guys out on tour that they pack it in. When things aren't going great, they're like, I'll slam my trunk, try again next weekend. And then there's another percentage on tour that they want to compete. They want to make the cut. They're grinders. And again, Tiger won here 8 times, probably the ultimate grinder. So, you just need to remember that. Some of the key stats that I wrote down. I did driving distance with strokes gained off the tee. To your point, fairway accuracy is not everything, right? Like it's important, but it's also important that if you hit it a long way, there's a better chance that you can hold a wedge into a green or a short iron than you can if you're hitting a mid to long. Again, there will be plenty of mid-long irons. Strokes gained approach is a huge one here. Strokes gained around the green. Bogey avoidance. Anytime it's a tournament that you're going to see potential over par cut line, bogey avoidance is always one of the first stats I look at, because what's the easiest way to avoid shooting high numbers? Don't make a lot of bogeys. Par 3 scoring this week, 200 plus yards. That's huge. I think that is something you should check out. Par 4 is 450 to 500 yards. Strokes gained tee to green on difficult scoring conditions, and strokes gained putting on Bermuda greens. One more thing for the course preview. You want to hear some winter trends here, Alan? I know you love this stuff as a gambler.
I do love a good trend.
16 of the last 16 winners made the cut at their previous Arnold Palmer Invitation appearance. That is very important that it's in there and not the previous year, meaning there's a lot of guys that are in this field that for whatever reason stopped playing in the event. Now that they have to be here, they will count if you're looking for that trend. If, say, it was 2-3 years ago last time and they finished or made the cut. 25 of the last 26 winners had at least one career win on the PGA or DP Tour, so kind of stay away from the rookies. Again, 31 of the last 32 winners had at least 125 starts on the PGA Tour and DP Tour. So this is not the week. I know there's guys like Ben Griffin that I've been all over this year. Stay away from them. 25 of the last 27 winners had at least one previous top 10 finish that season. And again, we're early in the year, so that's important. 16 of the last 18 winners, this is the biggest one to me, Alan, had finished in the top 20 in a previous Arnold Palmer Invitational. 16 of the last 18 winners have played in this event at least 3 times. 23 of the last 26 ranked inside the top 40 in the official world golf ranking. You will kind of see that when I get to my bets to win. I didn't go as wide as I normally do for events. 12 of the last 16 winners had at least 3 previous career wins, and 10 of the last 11 winners ranked in the top 55, to Allen's point, in PGA Tour and approach proximity from 200 plus yards leading into that win. And again, if you gamble, you follow golf a lot, you know these guys. The guys that are great long iron players, or either they have the distance to where they're able to hit like a fucking 7-iron from 200 yards. It's outrageous. Anything you want to add about Bay Hill?
Yeah, I just starred iron play is essential. I didn't go back too far over the history of past winners just because the weather, man, like it's just really hard to get consistent because the weather's not consistent. When Bryson won, I mean, he was just overpowering the course.
That was years that wasn't that windy.
Yeah, and if he tried that this year, I guarantee you he'd be 7 under or over because the wind's going to be taking that thing a mile away. So, but iron play was still a big part of his game because he was hitting iron.
Great long iron play.
Yeah, he's hitting it further than anybody else anyway. One thing that I thought might be essential here, just to kind of give you an idea of some of the extremes, the par 5 scoring, because it's a long course, when you're getting behind the 8 ball on the par 3 or par 4s, the par 5s sometimes come through and level things out. So you don't want guys that are not going to be par or better on par 5s. I think if you get guys out here that can, and you don't have to be a long hitter to score well on a par 5. A lot of times it's more intelligence than it is overpowering it. Matt Kuchar is one of the guys that I love it. When he plays on these courses that people will be like, oh, it's a long course. But if it's got a lot of par 5s, it keeps people like him in the game because he'll lay up and get an easy 4 on that particular hole rather than going for the eagle. And sometimes that's what makes the difference because you don't want to take unnecessary risks like Kirk did on his shot. Like you don't. And again, this is where it kind of comes in where you need to know the golfer sometimes, but just that strategic aspect of looking for different variances. Like I said, my default is ball striking. This week, I kind of shifted it to par 5 scoring because I want guys that I think are going to steal those birdies when they do get the opportunity to make the most of that. So when everybody is dropping a shot, they're still a hit. And that's how Scotty Scheffler ended up when his last round last year, he parred out. That's all he did. And my boy Hatton had he was 5-6 under and he still lost by a shot because it was what he gave back that hurt him more so than what he actually scored. And that's not going to show up, quote unquote, on the stat sheet because when you look at the final round, you see Scheffler was a 72 or 74, whatever par was, and then you see Hatton's 4 or 5 under. You would assume Hatton would win, but if you watch the tournament and you look at the game within the game, it's just about survival sometimes with these strong wins. And so I don't want to be banking on somebody to get 6 under in 30-mile-per-hour gusts. I want to make sure I can find the guy, like you said, bogey avoidance, find the guys that are consistent and that are going to at least shoot for that par and play smart enough where they're going to make the shots necessary to put themselves in a place to accept that par is all I'm going to get on this hole. So what I did do, though, strategically was I went down the list and looked at people with start times that I thought might have an advantage, which for me, in my mind, the late start on Thursday is going to be the early start on Friday. So I looked at guys that I thought would start late Thursday and could possibly get, a good early start and then get ahead of the win on Friday to give me a little boost going into the weekend. So I had 6 or 7 names: Woodland, Bradley, Matsuyama, Hatton, Rory, Morikawa, Xander, and Scott were the list that I came up with guys who I think had a potential to score high on Thursday and then get an early start on Friday. And then I condensed that to who I thought fit the mold of par 5 scoring, ball striking, the little things that I thought mattered. And I took 4 of those names out and put them into my picks. So there's a strategic angle here this week for me. And then there's a couple guys that I'm just picking them because, I like them, know, and this is a tough course. It's the same thing we said last week, only this week we're really going to get
this is not a shoot your shot course, though, for winners.
Yeah, and you don't, like you said, you don't really want to be banking on first-time winners here, not with the field being as tough as it is, and not with the win. Also, real quick, 2 like geographical angles when you're talking about win play. Guys who play on the European Tour obviously deal with a lot of win. Rory,
and it's been skewed to international players.
Yeah,
if you look the last 4 or 5, Arnold.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rory loves it here, to my knowledge.
Top 13 his last 5 starts.
And as much as I hate to say it, Texans.
Yep,
they play pretty well and win. All of them. They're used to it. The Valero Open, I think, is one of the tournaments where one time I just picked a guy because he was from Texas and he ended up winning. Because they're used to the elements, they're used to the win in that aspect. So keep those little things in mind when you're building your lineups and things like that. Don't be afraid to take a specialist this week.
Alan, I just saw this. The 5 players that fit all 9 of those trends I went over a minute ago. Listen to this list and tell me who you just talked about. Rory McIlroy, Max Homa, Hideki Matsuyama, Tyrrell Hatton, Keegan Bradley. So you're on the right scent there, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, DFS. And we won't spend a ton of time on this because you can check out my article at fantasy6pack.net. It is up where I give a lineup and I give 10 total plays. I'm just going to go through these real quick. And then, Alan, if you want to add any. I did not, for the official lineup, use Rory, Scheffler, or Rahm. I'm not going to hate on anybody for picking any 3 of them. But if I did have to take one, I'd take Rory. He's the cheapest of the 3. I did leave him as an extra pick. Again, to Alan's point, top 13 his last 5 starts here. Top 10, 4 of those 5. He's finished no worse than, I think, 25th in like 9 career starts here. So he likes this golf course. This is a tailor-made Rory McIlroy golf course. The reason I didn't use any of those 3 guys, I really love Max Homa this week, 9,700. I think he's a discount. I think that he is playing, honestly, just as well as Rory. He's not playing as well as Scheffler and Rahm, but I think he's close to him. I mean, if you look at his recent results, he's finished top 3 in 3 of his last 4 PGA events. 2 of those were elevated events, which are events with all the guys in the field. He has 2 wins since September. He plays difficult courses really well, and he's finished top 25 at this event in all 3 of his starts. So I really do like him. Your boy, Xander Schauffele, 9,200. I have him in my lineup. This is an event. Xander will win this event. I'm not saying it's going to be this week, but at some point he will. He's got plenty of length off the tee. It's unbelievable, the length that Xander has picked up over the last few years. I actually shared an article or a link to an article in my article on Fantasy Six Pack, just explaining how somebody as small as Xander can hit the ball so far. It's really remarkable what technology and stuff has done. He's got a great short game. He's a long iron player. Since July of last year, finished top 40 in every event he's played. He's second on tour in active cuts made, which is big for me because, again, for a DraftKings lineup, everybody needs to make the cut. He's at 17. Only John Rahm has more. Another guy, Sungjae M, right? I mean, he's in that list of, if it's a ball striking course, don't you almost automatically think of him, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, Sungjae has shown me at least 2 years in a row he can handle the Florida swing.
He's money. Sungjae is not 8,900. I got Tyrrell Hatton 8,300. Just outrageous. He won it in 2020, runner-up last year, 4th in 2017. So there's 3 top 4 finishes just since 2017. 6 of 6 on cuts, 5 29th or better finishes. I don't think I need to give much out there. Chris Kirk, another guy that just, wow, man, like good for him, coming off, his alcohol addiction and stuff, getting back to where he was really on track to be 7-8 years ago, and then he had his issues, but he's got 3 top 3 finishes in his 4 events this year, including his win. He's got a great track record at this venue. Last 4 starts here, T5th, T8th, T15th, 13th. So I think Kirk is a money play. Keith Mitchell, 8,000, a guy that has the game for this course. Hits it a long way off the drive. The tee, very accurate, good short game, great iron player. Ricky Fowler, 7,700. I'll get more into Ricky in just a little bit, but I love Ricky this week, man. Absolutely love him. Top 20 in 3 consecutive starts. 2 of them were elevated events. Top 10 in that time. He is finished in the top 30 at this event, including a T3 in 2013 6 times before the last 5 years, which I know that's what most people track. But just remember that Fowler has been playing like shit the last 5 years, so I'm looking more back at his older stuff. One of my favorite plays, Christian Buzenhout, 7,100. He's not going to get a lot of attention this week. I think he'll be low owned. Since January, his best finish on tour is 42nd. That's not good, but
he's one of my favorite South African players, right? Isn't he from South Africa?
Yep, plays well on the win. 3 top 20s and 3 starts here. That's important. It's very rare for players to like. It seems to be that players either play really well here or they don't. For a guy like him, who is not somebody who makes cuts at a really high percentage, 3 top 20s is very important. And then my last pick in there is Adam Sevenson, 6,800, the Canadian. Again, he's just great around the greens. He seems to be a grinder. He seems to play tough courses really well. So he's the other guy added in there. You got any other plays for DFS that you like before we get into the
man? Look, I will openly admit the last 2 DFS lineups I've played have featured the withdrawals. I don't know why. Like I said,
that's bullshit. Man.
I've done this for like 3 years, and I've never had anybody withdraw in the last 2
They should give you your money back. I've said that forever. They should, man.
Every time it kills me. I do like the idea of fading Rahm, Scheffler, and Rory. Although if I was to pick one of those 3, I would go with Rory. I think you can find some good prices on people like Adam Scott based on like
Corey
their
Connors. Like, there's a lot of guys.
Horschel, another guy that does good in Florida, things like that. If you pair a specialist with like a Rory or a Scotty or a Rahm in the lineup, then I think you could make it work. But I think this week you'd be best served to go after those like 9,000 range people. I'm not as high on Homa right now, but current form and the way he's been playing over the last couple of years, it's perfectly fine to be high on him. Like you said, in regards to how he's played, I mean, we just saw him go toe-to-toe with Rahm for as long as he could. Rahm's the best golfer in the world right now, and there's no shame in losing to him. But what I liked from Homa that makes me want to keep playing him, or at least looking to play him, is that he had an opportunity to just be like, whatever, I'm just going to get out of here with my dignity. And he still played to the very end, went for the win. And when you think about a course like this, where honestly, you might not ever be out of it, that mentality might be what pushes him into the winner circle this week.
Tiger, I believe, has 4 come from behind wins here of 3 shots or more on Sunday. So it's pretty common that guys can come back.
I like a lot, like you said.
Do you like the 7,000 range as much as listen to these guys all in the 7,500 to 7,800 range? Corey Connors, 7,800. Chris Kirk, 7,700. Keegan Bradley, 7,600. Tommy Fleetwood, 7,500. Gary Woodland, 7,500.
So, wild as it may seem, I am very high on Corey Connors this week as a specialist.
You should be. Yeah, he's got T11 third place finish in his 2 starts here. He is one of the best ball strikers on tour, best long iron players. He fits a lot of the bills.
Siwoo Kim is another name I think people need to pay attention to as well as a specialist when we're talking about win. Keegan Bradley, Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim are 3 fairly generously priced people who I consider to be win specialists.
Keegan back-to-back top 11 finishes here.
The only knock would be that the field is very tough. But as far as players who handle the win, those 3 guys stood out to me, and they made my prop list. So
yeah, Fitzpatrick's the other one that I had a hard time. He's got back-to-back top 10s here. Doesn't play. He's not in great form for him, but this is again. I looked at the U.S. Open the last 2 years
I did
because
too.
I just think that there is correlation there. And if you see guys coming up, over and over in the last couple of years in these tough events, it works out. All right, let's get into the betting board. Start with our bets to win. You mentioned it, but I got Max Homa 20-1. I think those are good odds. I know you disagree. I understand what you're saying, but I think Homa is really close to getting into that tier just below those top three guys, really more in like that Morikawa range where he's a gamer, man. Like he doesn't really have a weakness to his game. I think this is his 5th year now on tour. He just seems to be getting better. And what I really like about him is he continues to gain distance, which is really important for a small guy like him. That, don't get me wrong, there's still a huge, a good, decent sized gap between guys like Rahm and, Scheffler and McIlroy and how far Homa hits it, but he's closing it. I like Xander a lot, 22-1. Again, the only thing that scares me, I think Xander's only played in this event twice, but he's had success when he did. But this is just a Xander course. I think my favorite bet this week for the odds, JT 25-1. I don't understand it. I don't get why he is this low. JT plays. Why?
Because his putting has been crap, man. It hasn't
been
consistent enough.
In fairness, and I've argued with a couple other people about this, JT has always kind of been a streaky putter.
Oh, I know. I'm not.
And so
I
it
don't
wouldn't
think
surprise me if he comes
crazy
out and makes everything, right? Like he's got a little bit of that Rory to him that he'll go through stretches where it's like, and a lot of it's just him and Rory are such good fucking ball strikers that, you know what I mean? It looks worse because they're making putts that, some of the guys, especially with the way Rahm and Scheffler putt, which is just outrageous for their talent. But I still think that's a great play. Hatton 35-1. I got to take it. You got a guy with a runner-up and a win in his last 3 starts here. Again, 3 finishes, a 4th or better, and he's in good form. So I think those are good odds. And then I told you I'm not going to do long shots this week. If you notice, 3 of my 5 picks are 25-1 or less. I just feel like that you're probably going to get a winner from that 35 and under range. But Ricky Fowler 65-1. I really love what I'm seeing from Fowler. He has actually not putted great, but he is historically a great putter.
He hasn't done anything great in a while.
He's got 3 top 20s in a row.
We're talking winners,
buddy. What did Chris Kirk done?
I know. Hey, Chris Kirk was the previous tournament, like as far as like last year at PGA National, he did okay, and then this year he won. That was why I picked him because I was like,
okay. So Fowler again is playing his best golf within 5 years. In 5 years, it's been 5 years. I mean, he's fallen off a cliff. But before that, again, he had 5 top 30 finishes, 3 top 10s at this event, including a 3rd place. And it's just one of those deals where he had a very special relationship with Arnold Palmer. In a lot of ways, he kind of was a modern Arnold Palmer. Kids and fans just loved Ricky, even before really he had done anything. And I said it to you today, and I'll say it here on the show. I'm not afraid to put it on record. I think Fowler is going to win this year. Again, I'm not saying it's definitely going to be this week or anything, but it would not surprise me at all because he has changed his golf swing, which is something I never thought he would do. And, man, his swing looks so good. I mean, Ricky's always had some of the best hands on tour, and now he's in a much better position. And like with the hole-in-one at the Waste Management, you're seeing he is throwing darts. He's one of the best long iron players on tour this season. I think if he putts well this week, he's going to be right there on Sunday. So I really like him at 65-1. You'll see that he comes up in my props as well because I do. I just have this gut feeling Fowler is going to be in contention Sunday. Who you got for your bets to win?
I got Morikawa 20-1. Anytime I highlight iron play, Morikawa will be on my list.
Yep.
That's just I like him. Thomas at 28-1, which I think my odds are a little bit different because I think you did yours earlier. But 28-1 for Thomas, I think he's due. I think it's kind of crazy that he's this high. And I can't remember the last time I was getting eyes on him like this. So
it was.
Yeah.
I told you 25-1. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's not like, it's not like when Speed fell off a cliff and you had to keep betting him, hoping you were going to get a long shot win. Like Justin Thomas, I think can contend. Hideki, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll come back to that. M at 35-1 was my third highest, and then I took Hideki at 50-1, but
that's good value.
I'm not as like super confident in it. It's more for a value play. This week in general, I was just looking for guys for value plays. I think Rory would be the best play, like bang for your buck, based on course history and the it factor, guys that are going to grind and who are dogs, all those things I said before. Rory at 10-1 would have made my list, but again, I'm looking for maximum value with the risk. Hideki was on my strategic list, so he's going to make my regular list. Morikawa on the strategic list as well, so I put him in on my regular list. And then I went back and forth on Keegan Bradley to win it, but with him playing so well in the wind and just being in good form at 60-1, I had to take that shot. And then I'm going to give Fowler a half unit. So just because, you talk him up, and I don't want to miss out on it because, like you said, he has been playing pretty well. Not super confident in that, so that's why he gets half a unit. For anybody wondering what half a unit is, it's $5. And if he wins, then I win $300. So that's,
and just again to define a little bit more, a unit would be whatever you bet. Like I actually broke it down. Last week we had 24 plays between the two of us, between our props and picks to win. Well, we had a 28-1 winner. That's already meaning that we won money. We also had an 11-1 winner, plus 450. So if you add those up, and we'd say you bet one unit, whatever that unit is, on all of our plays, last week you would have been up about 24 units. So that's a good week, no matter what you're betting. So hopefully that continues. The props.
I didn't get to my long shots yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, bro. We I don't know about you. I'm taking my shot on my long shots.
Hey, this event.
But for real, I had to go back to that one. I won Xander Schauffele 100-1. So I am dedicated to picking people in that range. Like, and I've bet every golf tournament for the last 6 years. I've only won one golf tournament at that rate. But
it's really
I have hit some 70s and 80s. But Gary Woodland at 80-1 was I
actually really like that play.
Yeah,
because Woodland is somebody who could win this event.
I'm going to give Woodland a full unit. That's how much I like him at
finished T5th the last time he played here.
Yeah. And then Siwoo Kim and Adam Scott are my long shots. That's you
got Adam Scott. That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know, just for you.
Adam Scott's been good to us, though.
Yeah. We can get into the props now.
All right. I love the top fives at these venues because you can get real value. I've got JT plus 550. I talked about why I liked him. Hatton plus 750. Again, doubling down on that. Fowler 12-1 to top five. I love that. I do. I keep coming back to it. He'll probably shoot 80-80. But I love Fowler this week, 12-1. And then the other one, I didn't bet on him to win because I just think it's too hard to repeat. But man, Chris Kirk 14-1 to top five. Again, this is a guy who has finished top three out of 4 events this year. And his history at this event, last 4 starts, T5th, T8th, T15th, T13. I think that is crazy value for top 5 play. I absolutely love it. Who you got for top 5s?
Top 5, I just took Keegan Bradley at 11-1.
I like that.
I'm still shooting for my double digits on my top 5s. I think one of the things that I used to do all the time is if I like somebody like Rory at 10-1, I just bet him with a heavier bet for a top 5.
Yep.
That's just
you also talked about live betting them, right?
Yeah, and live betting them too. But I think in a venue like this, 10-1 is probably the best odds you're gonna get unless he just absolutely just dunks it. But yeah, I'm gonna try Keegan Bradley at 11-1. I'm playing with house money this week, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I like it. Yes,
and then I went with Kirk top 10, 6-1. Just off of like my idea being that he just won, he's in great form. It is very, very, very difficult, almost impossible to win back-to-back weeks. However, to win and then top 10 is pretty consistent amongst guys. And so having the good course history and things like that, I thought
he's plus 550, right? Because I have him as well.
I got him at 6-1.
Did you really?
On DraftKings, yeah.
Damn, it went up.
And so I'm
changing it to 6-1 then, even though I made that bet.
Adam Scott plus 850, top 10. Why not? If you're looking for a guy that's going to par a lot, Adam Scott's your guy.
Plays great in wind. Again, one of the best iron players in the history of the game. Seriously, like long irons. There's. I have Keith Mitchell at plus 450. Again, I think Mitchell's game equates here. He's a Sea Island boy. For those that don't know, Sea Island is on the coast in Georgia. A lot of heavy winds. He's used to playing in that. Fowler, who I talked about at plus 500. And then I do have a long shot for a top 10. Francisco Molinari, 18-1. Molinari has a win here. 2 top 25 finishes in his last 3 starts here. And he is somebody that plays very well in windy conditions and plays very well on difficult courses. I think those are pretty good odds for a top 10. Top 20. I think you're going to enjoy these. I got Emilio Grillo, your boy.
Yeah.
Another ball striker, right? Another guy that, man, if he can get hot with a putter, he's plus 50 to top 20. And then David Lingmerth, who has a history of playing well at difficult events. He's had a top 5 at the Players. I believe he's had a top 5 at the U.S. Open. I like Lingmerth here at plus 800. He played well last week. And he's a grinder. He's exactly what we're talking about. So for him to top 20 at 8-1, I like that. You got any top 20 plays?
I just took Danny Willett because I'm tired of people talking about him. He's at 5-1. I'm like, every week they're like, this your long shot should be Danny.
Were you watching golf when he won the Masters?
Man, probably not.
That was the Spieth collapse. Where Spieth went in the water twice.
Yeah, no. I watched that. Okay. I wasn't betting on it, but
no, I was just curious because that was, I don't want to say the luckiest, but like,
yeah, it was pretty.
He literally was out playing with no pressure because Spieth had such a big lead. Nobody thought he was going to lose. He shot this incredible round, which he deserves credit for, and then Spieth just literally threw up all over himself. And he won the green jacket. It always amazes me when guys win majors that way. It's the best way to win a major, honestly, because, again, he didn't really have to face any real, like, severe pressure on Sunday. He just posted a number, and they came to him. Anything else you want to talk about with Bay Hill or bets this week? Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one extra one. First round leader. Rory McIlroy is 22-1. He has had a low round in one of the 4 rounds at this event in 6 straight years. So I feel like maybe that is on Thursday. I like the fact you told me that the wind is not going to be bad Thursday. So him playing in the afternoon, it's not really going to be a big disadvantage from early, other than just obviously a little firmer and faster. But I've always told people this. Rough is harder in the mornings. At U.S. Opens, you notice, and as well at like this event, early in the morning when there's that dew, it actually makes the rough even harder to play out of. I'm not saying this is going to be easy in the afternoon, but as somebody who's played golf at a fairly high level, I would much rather the rough be dry and thick than wet and thick because it's just like hitting freaking cement when it's wet. So I really like Rory 22-1. I'm going to try each week to try to give one because, I mean, why the hell not? I was kind of shocked at how high the odds are for first-round leaders.
I was going to disclaimer, I'm not a weatherman. I use the windfinder.com is where I got that information from. Great site for information. But I'm just saying, in case somebody like listens to it and then the win actually comes on Thursday instead of Friday, like it comes a day early.
Don't be like, Alan, you motherfucker.
Yeah. Just as of today, the prediction is Friday and Saturday, you're going to see Gus. So keep an eye on it. Hopefully it stays consistent. But if for some reason it changes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do second and third round leaders and try to pick on the fact, pick on the fact that guys who have early starts, like especially if you got guys.
Let's tweet those out then. I'll do that with you. Why don't we tweet those out this weekend for people? Again, I'm at Keith Flemming on Twitter. That's KeithFlemming. And you are actively lazy 85, right? That's ACTIVELYLAZY 85.
Yeah. And I'll tweet them out. I'm at work anyway this weekend. I'll be watching.
Oh man. All right. And again, I wish you guys could have seen the text thread that we have. I love the Birdie Gang is what the name of it is. When Kirk went in the water on Sunday, Allen was hot. I did tell you though, I thought he'd end up winning, and he did. I loved his look on his face, and I think his caddy tried to talk him out of making that decision on the 72nd hole, even though we didn't get that picked up, because he looked at his caddy with this smirk of like, "Oh, that was why you're trying to get me to lay up on 18 the first time," when he hit it literally to like an inch when he had laid up.
I was putting together the kitchen table, and I came in to fix my son's as you guys see the mess behind me, this is where my son plays, but I came in to fix like his Roblox, something silly, and I couldn't see it because I wasn't watching, but I could hear it, and all I heard was "oh no," and I heard the pluck, like it hits, like the ball hit something hard, and then I heard the bloop, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And so I was like literally praying that was the other guy.
Cole,
I was like, that's Kirk wouldn't do that. And he's got a 1-stroke lead on the last hole. Like literally, he would not take that risk. And when I came back, you're right. Good thing people don't have that thread because there was a lot of profanities.
And I really thinking more about, you're right, that Cole making par there, especially because he hit it over the water and just had to get up and down to win the event. I'm with you that if that's not the 330th player in the world, and that's a life-changing event, I've told you that. Anybody outside the top one, I mean, it's a life-changing event when PGA is 2 years on tour, obviously the money, all that. And I think the pressure just got to him because it was not a really difficult up and down. He didn't get it up and down. But anyway, again, before we get out of here, I want to remind you, because Fantasy Six Pack has been so good to us, giving us a home for the show. Be sure to become an all-access member on Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasy6pack.net/plans. You get access to their Discord, which, I mean, you name a sport, they've got threads on there. We've got tons of people giving expert advice. You also get access to award-winning rankings, tools, and more. You can join today, or actually any day, using promo code F6PMLB for 15% off. So, Alan, I hope that we are gloating again next week with another win. But either way, I will be enjoying this event. I love Bay Hill. I love these kind of landmark events. And it's just exciting to see the best players in the world challenge, which I'm one of those people that I actually don't like it when it's 20, 25 under. I know that's what most people want to watch. I would much rather prefer, like, I want them to have the ability to go low if they can, right? Like if they're just playing out of their mind, you can still see guys get like 10, 12, 14 under here. But I don't have a problem with that. If you hit bad shots, you get punished for it, because week to week on the PGA Tour, that is not always the case. That will be this week. And again, pay attention to the win. I think Alan's point to that is the most important thing. If you see the win forecast change, you should edit your place. But for Keith and Alan, this is 2 Off the Tee, previewing the Arnold Palmer Invitational. May all your bets be winners, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care.